let's talk about things that no one talks about, especially on a channel that's dedicated to, well, Roatan real estate and moving to Roatan. We don't ever talk about when you leave Roatan, and no one ever talks about what if the island doesn't work out. So let's talk about the most common reasons people decide to, well, leave Roatan, Honduras. We always talk about why people come here, but then a lot of people do leave. I've done it 3 times. I've come back 4. I've never left more than 12 months, but well, now I'm older and wiser, and I just sometimes need a break from the island. So let's talk about the most commonly, well, the most common reasons people decide to leave Roatan, Honduras. First and foremost is the cultural difference and not leaving home behind. I hear that all the time. It's just, you know, we missed home, we missed family, we missed something. So if you're coming from here, or if you're coming to here from somewhere else, living the immigrant expat lifestyle is just, it can be hard, given, even though we have so many privileges, being able to live on this beautiful island, it is different. And so sometimes, you know, it works. In theory, everything looks good. It's like, yeah, who wouldn't want to live on a beautiful little island? Once you get here, you're like, you know what? I just don't like having to wait for 3 hours at the bank randomly on a Monday, or, you know, things like this. Or, hey, the bank, it's another, well, there's bank holidays everywhere, but whatever your reason, it is just different than where you're coming from. It is different from home. So people do leave Roatan for that reason. Another reason why people leave Roatan, Honduras is sometimes it's medical treatment. That's one of the times that I left, was when I had to do some ongoing cancer treatment. I did a lot of the back and forth for a while, but at the end of the day, I just had a little bit longer term recovery. So that's one of the times that we ended up leaving, and I just needed more family around to help me with. At the time, I had a under 1-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. So it was just a lot, and then the ongoing medical treatment, that's one of the reasons why I left. And so some people do leave, especially if you need something specific. I just had a rare I just needed some very specialized treatment that was not available here. Now my ongoing treatment, I don't have a thyroid and have a few other things going on, which you might have seen the scars. I am able to do everything that I need to do, the blood work, the normal non-specialized things. I do it all here. It costs a fraction of the cost. I get it so much faster, and it's so much easier. But some people that do have specific medical treatments, a lot of people with any type of cancer treatment, tend to go back to their home country. Another common reason people leave Roatan is never being able to embrace island time. Island time in Manana. I've talked about it a lot recently in some videos. Island time means anything. Manana means anything except for what you want. And sometimes it just, life with those 2 terms, or not having time is of the essence. It can weigh on you after a little bit of time. You're just like, I just wanted to get something super simple done. It just never ended up happening, or it took, 6 months instead of a month. Now, a lot of these things, why people leave, it is changing. Now, 15 years ago, I would say things might or might not happen, and you have to be able to just adapt and move on. Same is true, even though I'd say things have changed a lot, not saying good, bad, or otherwise, just things have changed a lot, and that not being able to embrace island time is of the essence, is not really a thing. Things get done when they get done. If they have to get done on a very strict schedule, it's going to drive you crazy. It's driven me crazy for a long time, and it took me a long time to just embrace things are going to happen when they happen, and that's okay. Another big reason people leave Roatan, Honduras, and it goes along with the island time is of the essence. We live on an island. We have to be able to embrace island culture and what we have on the island. We do import a lot. The amount of stuff we import now is light years ahead of where it used to be. Still, we can talk about wine later or not without disparaging anyone, but how it gets transported to the island and stored does matter, and currently no one's doing it. That's not a dig, it's the truth. So we're working on that right now, but not being able to accept what we can get. There is there is some one-click shopping now. We do have a lot of apps that are similar to actually, I'm not even going to say similar. We don't have Amazon, and we cannot do 24-hour delivery on many items. Now, we're getting pretty good with the mainland and like car parts, and assuming you have a common car. Walmart is just over in La Ceiba, but we're talking about, those are all ways to get past some of the instant gratification that we don't have here. Like, we can't just click on Amazon and get it the very next day. We can get it in about 2 to 3 weeks though, which that used to never, like, I'm thrilled that I can get anything within a month and fairly reliably, because that's like a whole brand new Roatan that I'm used to just sucking it up. Whenever I'd leave the island, I would go wherever I was going, then I'd stock up on things and bring them back. Or, you know, little things, parts that you need, you just sometimes get them, which is, it's a trade-off between living on a beautiful island and not being able to have that quick delivery, which goes into the, you know, time seems to be a theme here. This is a little town, it's a little island, 110,000 people according to the last census. I screw that up every time. And then you have about 15,000 immigrants or expats living on the island. We are a small town. We are not a big city. A lot of people have come in from big cities. Life is definitely different. We do have traffic now, but it's usually because of one individual doing something, or anyway, it tends to be much more dramatic of between one person or maybe two people with displays of who's gonna win the battle, and then it causes some traffic. Anyway, or barbecues in the street, that causes actually a lot of traffic, especially on Fridays and Saturdays. I digress. It's not the same as sitting with thousands of other cars on a massive highway. It's just a little bit different. The hustle and bustle is different. We have less things, we have less restaurants, we have less shopping, we have less, just because we are a smaller community. And that does, sometimes people just like what is familiar. They like to be able to go shopping, get whatever they want, like specific brands, whenever they want to do it. And that's just something that we just don't have, which is kind of one of the, well, that's the point of living on an island, is because it's different from maybe a big city. Another reason people leave Roatan, Honduras is there are daily quirks that I will just say, it mostly comes down to island time, which is just the running theme. There are quirks. There are different cultural quirks from where you are coming from, which, you know, it doesn't, I'm not saying one's right, one's wrong, but there's little daily things that if you do not learn to embrace it, like the island time, the manana, if someone tells you a part's gonna be in, oh, you're waiting for this, or you want something specific, it's going to drive you crazy. It's taken me well, I embraced it, and then I had kids, and then I was like, shoot, I need these things right now, and then I had to relearn the island time. So it does come in waves. Just because you've learned something once doesn't mean you don't have to learn it 13 more times. Just ask me and all my stories and all the reasons why I left. They've been varied, but it's the little things that can eat at you every day that just, it does get to people. And there are little annoyances if it's, you know, oh, you know, and it tends to be very similar to small town annoyant. Man, my English today, whoo, it is not that great, but it reminds me, I came from a little town in Indiana, and so I remember just these little things that, well, you have to learn to get along with your neighbor, even if you don't like your neighbor. There's just a kind of, you have to learn to figure out how to get along. The next big item on why people leave this island is money or finances or lack thereof. This is a very expensive island. And coming from someone like me that has a privilege to be able to come and go on the island, and it is much easier for me to support my family than many. However, many people do. We have a saying in Roatan, if you want to leave a millionaire, come with two. It's legit. Doesn't mean you can't have a successful life here. I mean, I'm doing it. We could argue success, but at the end of the day, it does vary. And finances do play a large role. It is hard to make money here. Doesn't mean it's impossible, just means it is harder than the place you are coming from. The next reason people leave Roatan, Honduras is, well, they didn't take the breaks that they needed to. It's a little island. There's, you know, it's a small space. Sometimes you can get a little claustrophobic, and if you don't deal with that at the beginning or right away, it can eat at you. It's one of those things that kind of fester, and then you're just like, hey, I'm out. Instead of just taking a couple days days off, I personally love going over to the East End or anywhere other than where I'm at most of the time, which is the West End area. I love going to the mainland, but it took me a long time to realize that I just need those little mini vacations, those those little breaks from the island that give you just kind of a lot of clarity, gives you room to breathe, gets you away from that neighbor that's playing that music or whatever that they're doing. They look at you weird when they take out the trash. I don't know. It's a number of things. Another common reason why people leave Roatan, Honduras is, well, what used to be more common than not. We have really great schools here, but I do know a lot of people would leave once their kids got to about 8th grade. We do have, well, I'm planning on keeping my kids here. I might consider one of the schools over in San Pedro, just because I know many people that have done that, but we do have a lot of schooling options we didn't used to, and so a lot of people would leave. And then we also have people that leave temporarily that mean to always come back, but just, you know, life happens. It's not always that easy to come back, live on an island, figure out how to support yourself, raise your family, get all the medical care that you need, and a lot of that's just because it is not always familiar. And when times get hard, we tend to go to things that are familiar. And so a community that is big on immigrants or expats, and most of which have the ability to go home, the decision to go home is easy. So that, I'd say, that's the summary of why we come or go, or why we do have such an influx of people that also leave after there is like a 3 to 5 year itch a lot of times. And then if you make it past there, most people end up staying. At the end of the day, you gotta love what you're doing. Otherwise, what's the point? So thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope you have a wonderful day.